morning, I'd like to talk a little bit about one of the new testing, antigen testing that we have available for Iowans, which is something that you'll be hearing more about and something that's becoming much more widely used in the state of Iowa. So again, that's antigen testing. Antigen testing is a new form of rapid diagnostic testing that reports results more quickly than traditional PCR testing. It does have a lower level of reliability at this point, but the CDC issued interim guidance recently for antigen testing and will likely see a significant increase in its use and availability, and actually we already are starting to see that. Until now, the number of antigen tests in Iowa has been relatively low, and were included in the testing data reported on our coronavirus website, but were reported as inconclusive rather than positive or negative. Given the CDC's interim guidance and the number of growing number of these tests in Iowa, results will now be reported as positive or negative and will be used as part of the calculation, part of our process in calculating the positivity rate. So you will see some changes to the overall data. As testing becomes more widespread and common, antigen testing will be a growing portion of the overall testing in Iowa, so this change will enable us to capture that data that we're reporting to Iowans. And now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Pedati to explain a little bit more about the antigen testing and how it's being used. Dr. Pedati?
Thank you, Governor. So, since the recognition of this virus last December, there have been continuous efforts to enhance how we detect and track and manage individuals who are affected by this virus. Now, the initial test types that were provided for COVID-19 were aimed at detecting the genetic material, or the RNA, of the virus. And Iowans can continue to access that kind of PCR testing through our state hygienic laboratory, through Test Iowa, as well as through a variety of our clinical and laboratory partners throughout Iowa. Now, additionally, we've seen the increasing use of a new type of test called antigen testing be used here in Iowa, as well as across the United States. Now, this antigen testing is looking for proteins that exist on the surface of the virus, and they can be helpful because they can be done more quickly, but not always in as high a volume as most PCR testing. So as you've heard, we're going to be incorporating these new antigen tests in our positive and negative test result counts and designating that antigen test type. Now, as we initially received a small volume of these antigen tests, our public health personnel were performing our case investigation and contact tracing activities and recommending isolation and quarantine for persons with antigen positive results, just like we do for persons with PCR positive results, and we're going to continue to do that. But we will now also be sharing those results as part of the positive and negative counts. That will result in some adjustments to the percent positivity that we've seen. Specifically, our overall percent positivity will increase approximately 0.2%, and the percent positivity over the past 14 days will increase approximately 0.1%. There'll be 48 counties for whom there will either be no increase or even a decrease in their percent positivity over the past 14 days, and there'll be 51 counties for whom there will be an increase in the percent positivity. For 50 of those counties, the increase will be between 0.1 and 1.1%. There is one county, Van Buren County, that's going to see an increase of 5% from 6.6 to 11.6%. Now, we've received approximately 10,000 of these antigen tests, and of those, about 1,000 have been positive. And of those 10,000, about 8,000 have come to us over the past 10 to 12 days, which demonstrates the recent increased use of this resource here in Iowa, which is why it's important that we include this information in the trends and information that we share on our webpage. And as always, it's going to continue to be very important for public health to work with our clinical and laboratory partners throughout the state to continue to incorporate new information and new resources in this response. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Pedati. I appreciate